welcome to Front Pro. Today we are going to do some experiments with services in context of its scope and number of instances. There is a lot of talk about singleton, which means in Angular we have only a single instance of a service. We will verify it. We will experiment what happens when we provide service at root module, submodule, and lazy loaded modules, as well as at component level. At the end, you should have a very good understanding and we should be able to clear the air. It is going to be a very interesting video, so stay tuned till the end. Please do like, share and comment. It will indicate me that you are getting it beneficial and encourage me to record good contents. In our example, we have four modules: app module, core module, which is part of app module or submodule, audit module and transaction module. These are lazy loaded modules. Okay, now let's have a look into the application we are going to use to verify all these aspects regarding services. So this is our application, and if I open it, you will find that we have modules here, and in modules we have a core module, and core module is actually part of our app module, what we are referring as sub module. So here you will see this is our part of our app module, whereas we have another modules which are featured modules. Featured modules are nothing but they are actually lazy loaded modules. So let's jump into the browser and see whether the different chunks are being downloaded when we click on different routes. And if you want to understand lazy loading in detail, I will provide the URLs into the description section. All right, so let's go to the browser. Okay, so this is our application, and if you observe, if I click on audit, so you will realize that it's actually downloading a different chunk here, which means this is a lazy loaded module. So audit is our lazy loaded module. Same fashion we have transaction module, which is again a lazy loaded module. Now next we are going to write a service which we will use on different modules or components and see that how does it act. Okay, so we have a simple service here which will be provided at app module, core module, lazy loader module, in our case audit and transaction module, and at component level. You can also see we are broadcasting a message through behavior subjects to all its subscribers. We will see this into action in a minute. And if you are not sure how behavior subject works, do comment. I'll try to record a video around this. It has. Okay, now we are going to verify the very first statement, which says the service that we provide at the root module are app scoped, which means that we can access them from every component services within the app. So let's verify it. Okay, so here is our simple service, and if I check the references, so you will observe that this is being used in app module where we are providing into the services, whereas this has been injected into multiple components. All right, so let's check this out. Okay, this is our app module, and here we are importing it, and if I scroll down, you will see this has been provided here. So we need to verify this is app scoped service, and it should be available throughout this application. Okay, next, if you see that I have created a simple component which basically displaying a message which has been broadcasted from that service, simple service, and we are updating the message on the key up as well. If I take you into the TS file here, you will see that it has been injected here. All right, and we have also subscribed this service here, and on update message we are updating the message. So basically how does it work? I'll try to explain through a diagram. Okay, so here is the diagram. You can see we have two components, app component and home component. App components from app module, home components from the core module. So they are two different modules, right? And the service has been provided into the app module. So the moment app component will update the message, the service will broadcast this message to its subscriber, which is app component and home component, and vice versa. For example, if home component will update the message, it will be again broadcasted to app and home component both. All right, so let's see this into the action. Okay, now we are into the code. So if I take you into the core module, you will see that home component is there, and this is part of our core module. All right, in the home component I am subscribing this simple service, and it has the update message as well. Similarly, we have same thing with the app components using a simple component here, and simple component is subscribing that simple service. Okay, so let's execute it and try to understand how does this work. So here you can see that in the app component we have a text box which will trigger the update message on key up. Similarly, on the header component we have the same thing, but header component is part of a core module and app component is part of app module. So we have two modules and service has been provided into app module, right? So now let's try this. I would say message from app component. You will see this. Okay, now I'm going to change the message from the header component. It means that the service scope has been expanded to the core module also. Now let's verify another point of singleton. It should actually create a single instance of the service. So let's verify it. So I'm going to simple service, and into the constructor put a debugger. Let's get it compiled and we'll switch to browser again. I'll inspect it. Okay, and reload this application. We are inside this constructor, and in case if this constructor is being called twice, it means that we are going to have two instances of this service. So let's execute it. See, the constructor triggered only once. So what does it mean? It means that we have a single instance, and when we change the message, it is actually using the same instance. Okay, so the core module and the app module using the same instance of that service. Great. Now let's do another experiment. I'm going to remove simple service from the app module, and I'll go to the core module and I will provide here. Let's resolve it. Okay, so the very first things we are going to verify, does it create multiple instances? So I will follow the same steps. I'll reload this. Okay, we are at constructor right now. Let's execute it. Great. So no more instances, only one instance is there. I'll try to put the message. Okay, so what does it mean? It means there is no difference. So here you can see that it doesn't matter whether we provide the service into the core module or app module. The scope remains same and it works as it is. Okay, now let's do some experiment with lazy loaded modules. Here, our audit modules is a lazy loaded module, and if I take you into this module, we can see that there is a no provider. The component of this lazy loaded module is user, where we are actually injecting the simple service in the same fashion, right? And we'll try to verify whether the lazy loaded modules is working or not. Can it access services from app module or core module? So let's do this experiment and jump into the browser. Okay, so we are into the browser now, and if I try to type the same message, so it's working, right? And you see that we are into audit module path. The home is will work, So what does it mean? It means that scope is actually extended to app module, core module, and lazy loaded module as well. So here we have app component, home component, audit component, and they are from different modules, and all of them can use simple service. So if we provide the service either on core module or app module, automatically it will be available for the lazy loaded modules as well. Now let's verify the statement about lazy loaded modules. So the services that we provide in lazy loaded modules, they are actually module scoped and available only in the lazy loaded module. So let's jump into the code and verify whether the simple service scope to lazy loaded module or can be accessed through another modules like core module, app module, or some other lazy loaded module as well. So we'll verify all these aspects. Here we are into the VS Code. I'll open simple service. So what actually I did, I have removed all the references. Okay, so now I'll go to the lazy loaded module, which is our audit module. So modules featured audit. Here we will find this model. Okay, I'll go to the provider section, simple service. Now it is imported. Okay, we are good. Now I'll go to the user audit component where I'll inject it. Now I'll paste the code which sets the user message, and that's what we are using on the HTML. Here you can see we are using the HTML, and on the TF we are calling update message. So let's uncomment the update message as well, save it, and jump into the browser again. We are into the browser now. Okay, so we can see this component is rendering, and we need to verify one more thing. So if I on the home component and if I refresh it, you will see that we are not stopping on the constructor of that service, but if I click on this, we are actually stopping by this. So this lazy loaded model is creating a new instance when it is loaded. Okay, now I'll try some message. Okay, all right. So this is working for the lazy loaded module. Now we need to verify whether we can use this service into app module, core module, or any other lazy loaded module or not. So what I'm going to do, close everything. I'll go to this app component here and I'll try to inject the service again. Uncomment this, paste it here, and let me import it. Alright. Now what I am doing, I am not providing this into app module. You see the provider is empty, but I am going to inject this into the app component and let's see what happens. Okay, so right now it's compiling successfully here. Okay, so let's go to the browser. See here you can see that the application is not rendering. If I go to this console, you'll see that we are getting some error on the app component here, which means it says that no provider for simple service. Okay, so what does it mean? It means the scope is not I mean the service is not available. So let's undo that. So it's working now. Transaction is also another module. If I click on this, you will see that okay, this is another chunk which I'm going to try to access that simple service into transaction module without providing it. So here we are into the VS Code again, and I'm going to transaction components. This is a transaction component. Here I'll try to access that service. Okay, so it's compiling. Let's jump into the browser. Now I'll try to load the transaction module. As soon as I load it, I'll get an error. See, it says that simple service is not provided. But if I click on audit, it works, right? But on the transaction, we are getting error. So the scope actually limited to this audit model only. So every lazy loaded model will have their own instance. Let's verify that also. So I'll provide this service into transaction module as well. Let's import it. Okay, it's compiling successfully, and you see we have provided into transaction module. We are actually verifying whether these two lazy loaded models, audit and transaction, are going to create two instances or not. So in that context, what should happen? It should trigger the constructor twice. So I'll click on this audit. You see we are inside the constructor, and if I click on transaction, it will again trigger the constructor. So in that way we can verify it that there are now two instances, one each for one lazy loaded model. Okay. Okay, before we jump into the last part, which is a component level, let's do a quick recap. If we provide a service in app module, it will be available for the core module as well, because core module is not a lazy loaded module. Even though if we introduce a lazy loaded module, the scope will extend it to lazy loaded module as well. Basically what happens, app and core module generates a chunk, so it doesn't matter whether we provide the service in app module or core module, the scope will be always from app to core module, whereas in case of lazy loaded module will be extended to the lazy loaded module as well, right? And whereas if it is only provided into lazy loaded module, so the scope will be limited to that module only, whether it is audit or transaction module. We have already seen. Now let's jump into the last point. I will not take much time, so let's be quick. So the last point is the service provided at component level are they available only to the component and to the child component. So let's verify it. So in this example we have super parent, parent and child. Now let's see this into the code. Okay, here we can see in this core model we have super parent. This is a component, a parent and a child component. In parent, if I take you into the TS file, you can see that into the providers we have provided this service. Okay, and if I try to find the references of this service, then you may observe that this is not being provided anywhere else except parent component.ts. Here we have the providers, and everywhere we are just importing this. See, all right. So now what will happen? I have to go to the HTML part of this parent component. Here we can see we have a child, and child is nothing but coming from this component. So how does it work? If we provide any service at component level, then the parent and its child will have the access of the service. So here if I type a message, we can see that child is listening. Now let's do another quick experiment. I am going to provide this service to the super parent, so the parent and the child should, you know, should be able to access that service. So I'll cut it from here simply, and I'll go to the super parent ts file and paste here. That's it. And if I do another find all reference, you will observe that now this service is being provided to super parent. So logically what will happen, parent and child should access it. Now jump into the browser. So if I again type here, you can see it's working as it is. Okay, now one another quick check we can do, we'll try to inject this service into any other module or any other component, and it should not work because we have the limited scope. So it should not be accessed by any other component which is not into the hierarchy. or in other modules. We are now at home component, which is not into the hierarchy. Here we will inject that service, and this header should be used in the into this application. And for that I'll go to the app component and I'll just uncomment this. So here you can see now we are getting error, no provided for the simple service. So we can conclude that if the service we have provided at the component level is not into the hierarchy, it won't be accessible, and same goes true with modules. You can try it at your end. So in this video session we explored few things about services. It's a singleton in nature, service at root table and its scope, service with lazy loaded modules. When we provide services on different lazy loaded modules, it creates multiple instances, service scope at component level, parent to child. Apart from these, like view providers and some other stuffs, maybe I'll come up with some other video on that. And if you find this video beneficial and helpful, please do share with your colleagues and friends. Thanks for your time. Stay tuned. Thank you.